You're listening to the Shipyard Cat Podcast, the unofficial SAFC podcast for fans everywhere.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the pod. Nice and early for the review here today. It's in regards to the 2-1 loss down at Ipswich on the opening day of the season. Not what anybody wanted, not what anybody expected, and we'll dive into the winning goal for Ipswich and who scored it, which it just had to be, really. But joining me to discuss it and break it down a lot, we've got Robin and Kev. Robin, how are you doing today, mate, after that disaster?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm not exactly thrilled by any means. You know, it's a pretty poor performance all round, to be honest, mate. So I'll say I'm disappointed.
Definitely. And Kev, likewise, how are you doing, mate?
Yeah, look, I mean, that probably perfectly sums up the end result, if that makes sense. It was disappointing. Am I surprised? A little bit, but, you know, as we've always, I think we just briefly said there in the group chat, newly promoted sides at home on the first day of the season, they're always going to be up for the fight.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we were up for it, our first game at home last year. And I think that's pretty much what Ipswich were all about today.
Yeah, spot on. Well, let's jump straight into the elephant in the room, and then we can cover our performances and stuff like that. Their winner, scored by Jack Clark. It was just written for him, really, to come on as a sub and score that goal, really, wasn't it, from the off?
Well, I mean, yeah, you expect it. I mean, it's a typical Jack Clark goal, isn't it? We can't be surprised by it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the disappointing. It was, you know, a ball given away at the back, you know, like the first goal, given away by a defender completely unnecessarily.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we haven't made them work for either goal, really.
Yeah. I'm guessing Kev's just going to second that without even saying a word, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely spot on. They didn't, in my opinion, really show much, but likewise, nor did we. It was very much. Did we deserve to win that game? Probably not. But we didn't deserve to lose it either, if that makes sense. Like, for me, neither team had that last bit. I'm sure Robin will probably give his thoughts on it, but for me, we sort of seemed to cancel each other out all game. We had an attack, they had an attack, they had an attack, we had an attack, and it just seemed to be that kind of game. And I don't know, other than their goalkeeper making that incredible save against Siddiqui, we didn't really have much to give him to do. And you know, Angulo's free kick, which I know you want to talk about,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's many keepers stopping that.
Well, no, I mean, he's 6'9" and he got nowhere near it. But when you see that free kick, I mean, that was one of the best I've seen. I mean, the height he gets to get it over the wall, and then to get it to dip back down under the crossbar. And look, they always look something special when they hit the underside of the bar. You know, it just makes that goal, you know, so much better. But yeah, I mean, you know, neither goalkeeper really had what you'd call a busy day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was pretty poor all round. I mean, you know, I think overall, I think we probably had the better chances. I mean, you know, Robbie took too long on a couple. The first one in the first half, he seemed to take an extra touch and, you know, let the defender get back across him to block the shot. And then, you know, I don't know why, you know, when he's through and it's sort of like 6 yards out, just put your foot through it. You know, it's we seem to be, like I said last season, we seem to want to walk the ball into the net rather than actually take a shot.
Yeah. Fingers crossed for me. That I do agree with you both. Fantastic free kick. It's effectively, the words obviously pick that one out the way it went in. It's more now of, as you just said there, Robin, the chances were plenty for Bobby and he just didn't put his laces through it. Is this where we now look at it as one of those very early wake-up calls. Yes, it's only his first game of the season, but it's a very early wake-up call to go, right, start taking your chances more often, or you're not going to get the reward that you're wanting. To me, Munier played very well. He looks solid at the back. Obviously, we know the only thing that's going to be lacking for him, bless him, is his pace. But he looked very comfortable on the ball. And once again, as I said for the pre-season review, he looks like he's been there for a while. It didn't look out of place today.
I mean, Munoz, I said it when I saw him at Lens. He's an elite level player. He's not going to disappoint. That's the thing with him. He's gonna play. I mean, like you say, his pace isn't there. I mean, he's 35 next month. He's. I fully expect him to be more of a bit part player when obviously Nordy's not fully fit.
Yeah.
Hence today. I would expect to see Nordy, starting the majority of games if he's fit. A bit like, Omar Alderete. It's obviously he came on for 09, which was probably, it took a bit long for him to make that substitution.
Mm-hmm.
But then, we've said it last season, Omar seems to have a mistake in him, when he's sort of like early on in a game. And obviously, he was the one who gave the ball away for the second goal, unfortunately. To me, I think we set up too defensively. To put Hume on the right wing again, Hume offered nothing going forward to me.
Mm-hmm.
He was pretty non-existent. Everything was down the left. And Gulo looked a threat at times, but really not doing enough. I think we were a little bit too pedestrian. I'd like to see us, go more at teams with pace. And I think we've got to do that with, two wingers. When you think you've got, you had started the game with Talby, Jocelyn Tarby and Romain Mundell on the bench, which all of them have got pace, and you're playing a right back in midfield on the wing.
Yeah.
That was the problem for me. I felt we were too edgy. We were too nervous. I think we knew the occasion they were going to make it, and we almost like let them play their game. We kind of almost were passengers for a lot of it.
Yeah.
But also the physicality of the game. We seemed a little bit cautious going into things, whereas they were very happy to get handy is probably the right word.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of, Diop getting away with arms and elbows and pushing and shoving. Leif Davis the same. And for me, I feel that's where the newly promoted sides are going to find their craft. They're going to still have that little bit of championship football in them and probably try and get away with things like that. And today's referee, in my opinion, and I'm not turning this into a referee rant, was favourable towards them with the discipline side of it.
Yeah.
Yes, I know Angulo got a yellow card for blocking the ball, but 2 or 3 times they kicked the ball away and got away with it because they played on the I didn't hear the whistle ref. I'm sorry, it's Portman Road. Like, do you know what I mean? I'm not being disrespectful, but you could hear a pin drop at times in there. So, yeah, for me, I just think we almost didn't seem ready for today.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if that's part of it because half of the squad was away at the World Cup, that they're all a little bit rusty in terms of team play. Because, as we've discussed previously off pod, how a team plays or how a player plays for their national side is different to how they'll potentially play for their home side.
Yeah.
Hume probably doesn't expect to be, like Robin said, playing in midfield or being used as a winger. Yes, he can do that job, but the majority of the time he's not, if that makes sense.
Exactly. It is just going to be one of these now where obviously we dust it off, we get back in, train harder. It's a obviously from today it's going to be another 8 days until we play again on the Sunday. So we've got the time to effectively right those wrongs and move on. And then obviously we go again against Fulham, which obviously we'll cover during the week when we get to it. But ultimately, I think that's pretty much. What am I missing, Robin?
Oh, I think, the performance of the players. I mean, obviously, I thought that Xhaka looked a bit leggy today. He
Mhm.
didn't seem really at it. There was players, and just going back to obviously what you said about the World Cup and stuff, there's players which, had an elongated World Cup, and,
Mhm.
they've only been back a week and a half or so, 2 weeks,
Mhm.
and they're not really there. That's the thing. I mean, I think, like you say, Luke's featured in every pre-season game, and probably needed a bit of a rest, to be fair. But I think
Mhm.
because Alderete and Mukiela aren't fully fit yet, you sort of like you. It's that thing. I mean, we spoke about it before, putting round pegs in round holes, and the thing with me, Hume, yeah, as Kev said, he can do a job there, but it's a job when we're threadbare, not when
Yeah.
we've got you know, three wingers with pace, Chris Rigg and Habib Diarra, our record signing, sitting on the bench. That are midfielders.
Yeah.
We got five midfielders there, three of them in the specialist wing position, and he's putting the right back on. I just don't understand
Mhm.
why you'd be that defensive against a team which, yeah, they're going to be up for it, like Kev said, the first game of the season at home, but they are there for the taking a little bit. And I think if we'd attacked them a bit harder, I think we would have had, more joy, really. I think it was very, very slow,
Mhm.
the play. And I think that's something that we need to be looking at is speeding things up.
Yeah.
That was it for me. We didn't seem to make them make mistakes, if that makes sense.
Oh, sorry.
In terms of when we ran at them, we were almost, I don't know, leaving the ball a yard or so out of place so that they could get it. Every
Yeah.
pass we seemed to play was misplaced. We
Mhm.
just we just seemed a yard off it today. And like you say, I think is that possibly the almost like the pre-season finished too late, maybe in the season started too
Mhm.
early. It's a fine balance, isn't it?
Yeah.
That team that played today were nothing like the team that played against Rennes. We just seemed to be scrappy.
Mhm.
But it's one of those, isn't it? Like you say, we've got 8 days now to reset. Hopefully, things happen behind the scenes in terms of personnel that'll help bolster the squad.
Yeah.
Because again, like you say, we need wingers to play in the winger position. We need strikers to do strikers' jobs and defenders to be defenders. And that I think that's where it is for me. I just feel that today we seem to try too hard to make things fit.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. It's going to be see what we can do this week. I think this is going to be a very big week, not just on the training ground. I think it's going to be a big week behind the door, shall we say, in regards to transfers coming in or people possibly going out. Obviously, we did get just after we released the pod, lo and behold, shock horror. Obviously, Matali joining us. That happened. Who pretty much did his own mini documentary about coming to the club, which if you haven't watched it, I do recommend watching it because it's actually a really good watch. And then obviously there is many other rumours out there. Whether or not they come true, we'll just have to wait and see if they do. But he's looking a good, solid prospect, and I do believe he's just a couple of weeks, and then he'll be. I don't see why he won't be on the bench or possibly trying to push his hardest to get to a start.
Yeah, I mean, he's a player that's been brought in for now. Obviously, we're looking. Obviously, there's that. Is it a Hoka? The holding midfielder, which obviously I think is a necessity. I think we do have to have another option for Xhaka.
Yeah,
Like I said, because he's not going to be able to play, you know, 2 games a week all season long.
yeah,
Like I say, he had a an extended World Cup, and he does look a little bit tired. It looks like he could do with a bit more of a rest. We've got to obviously, get these players, through the door sort of thing. I think, I say we need another striker, you know, and I say, do we need another centre back brought in as well?
Mm. It's going to be an interesting one, but hopefully the club know what they're doing or what they're trying to achieve. So, Kev, do you want to give your just quick thoughts on obviously Matari coming in now?
Yeah, look, I'm glad it's over the line. I think you're right. I think the lad's probably absolutely delighted it's gone ahead. I mean, if you watch his video that he's created himself, um, yeah, it's almost like his Sunderland journey. It's brilliant to watch, and it's nice to see a player that appears to have wanted to join us when he found out we wanted him.
Yeah.
Because I think there is a little bit of that sometimes lacking in football. Players will follow for other reasons, whereas he seems to have really bought into us already, and he hasn't even kicked a ball yet. It would be interesting to hear what the situation is with his medical issue, or if it was a little bit of overcautious from us because we have been bitten before. But as long as he's fighting fit and ready to go, that's all I really care about. And like you say, it's good to have that depth in numbers. With obviously he'll be able to come in and push us forward. I believe because is he not swap for Reynildo?
Yeah.
So that gives us an option there if we feel Reynildo's tiring or got a mistake in him, shall we say. I mean, just go back to last season, I'm looking at Matty Cash there. All it takes is one moment like that and we're snookered, whereas at least now we've got a player that can naturally slot in there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm excited for the lad, and I just hope we get a few more in that can kind of are ready to go. I don't think we need to be looking at players to reinforce us, if that makes sense. I think we need players that are going to be pushing for first team and hopefully able to do a job straight away, not here's one for the future.
Yeah.
Exactly. You need a here and now player is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the players that we got to bring in have got to be, direct competition for what we've got. We've got to create that within the squad so that nobody is guaranteed a first team place, so that when that team sheet comes out, it will keep us guessing as well. We need to have that. And again, Ronaldo, I suppose like Xhaka, he's not going to be playing 2 games a week all season long with his age. That's the thing that we've got to be, very, very mindful of.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. It's going to be an interesting one. And if anything comes out, I'm sure we'll be first on it and try and see what we can. So I would give our thoughts and opinions as quick as we can during the week if anything does happen. But other than that, lads, I think we'll just bring this review to a close because the least we say, the better, and just move on, really. So, lads, thanks for joining me, Robin. Thank you.
No, thanks, Adam. So they're never nice when we lose, but we've got to get them out of the way.
Indeed. And look, I hosted it when it's a loss.
I know you were probably tempted not to, though. Let's be honest. You were probably thinking, "Oh, I've stubbed me toenail or something," and
I was tempted to hide in the pub,
or make his daughter's bed or something,
Hey, priorities. But thank you, mate, Kev.
Oh, lads, like I say, Robin's hit the nail on the head there, and it's not easy to do one of these straight after a loss pod. To be honest with you, it's one of the reasons I didn't put a TikTok out this morning for this game. I knew this was going to be a stinker, but it's one of them, and like you say, you've got to take the rough with the smooth. We can't always just post positive when we win. You've got to post whatever you can when you can. Let's look, lads. Let's just quickly talk about this week. It's gonna be a good week. Europa draw Friday.
Yep.
We're back home on Sunday.
Yep.
Robin's got to drive 9,000 miles to come and see us again. You've missed those days, haven't you, mate?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it's like I say when I drove to Lawrence the other week, it's actually closer than what it is coming to a home game. But at least I'll be able to take my Elvis shirt back to the club shop to get the Europa badge put on.
Oh God, let's not go there.
I was going to say, let's not cover that. No. No, pleasure as always, lads. It's great to do it. And as everybody, as else, oh, I can't get my words out. I'm turning the UK today. I can't get my words out.
I can't type. You can't speak. Robin, any ailments?
No, I'm pretty good today.
Oh, that's better. But no, thanks everyone for listening in. And as ever, we'll see you on the next one.